This is page 95. This is the 4.3 independent practice. Number 10 reads, Jeremy has 4 1/2 cups of iced tea. He wants to divide the tea into 3/4 cup servings. Use the model to find the number of servings he can make. Some kids might want to just divide this, and that would be fine, but I'm going to use the model just to show you how visual can be helpful. So the first thing I need to do is pay attention to the clues. It says he has 4 1/2 cups, but the model doesn't show 4 1/2 cups, so I'm going to adjust my model. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2. So I'm going to go to the halfway point here, and I'm going to cut this off. He doesn't have that. He only has 4 1/2 cups. Secondly, a lot of kids I've seen in the past want to circle the 1/4 and call that a serving, but it actually says that a serving size is 3/4 of a cup. So a serving needs to be 3 of these guys. So 1, 2, 3, that's a serving. 1, 2, 3, that's a serving. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, that's a serving. So I'm circling every 3/4, and it ends up being the perfect amount, and then you just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The answer is 6 servings. Now, if you wanted to divide 4 1/2 by 3/4, you would get the same answer. But this model here makes it probably a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit easier. All right, let's check out the next one. It's similar, slightly more challenging just because it's not a perfect answer. Let's check it out. Question 11 reads, a ribbon is 3 2/3 yards long. May needs to cut the ribbon into pieces that are 2/3 yard long. Use the model to find the number of pieces she can cut. So let's start with, like we did last time, let's go ahead and cut off what we actually don't have. The ribbon is 3 2/3 yards. There's 1, 2, 3, and then I got to go out to 2/3. That's just 2 of these. She doesn't have this piece right here, so I'm going to cut it off. And then it says she's going to divide or cut them into chunks that are 2/3 of a yard. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did last time, except for I'm going to count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I got an extra piece right here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I got an extra piece right here, and that's what makes this one just a little bit more complicated. Let me show you the wrong answer. I'm going to go ahead and put it in red. The answer is not 5 1/3. And I understand why kids want to put 5 1/3 there. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that's a third right there. That's the wrong answer. I'll tell you some answers that do work. Is it doesn't say anything about what to do with a leftover. The best answer is probably just 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a piece left over. It's not long enough. It says she needs to cut the ribbon into pieces that are 2/3 of a yard long. Is this long enough? No, it's just a leftover piece. So really it's not good for anything. So 5 pieces is the best answer. Now if you really need to do something with that fraction, another answer that works is 5 1/2. And I understand that a lot of kids think it should be 5 1/3, but let's think about this right here. This piece right here is exactly 1/2 of a whole piece. I know it says a third right there, but it's a half. And the reason why you can tell it's a half, just look at it. This piece right here would be the same as this piece right here. Well, that's half of the whole thing that she needs. So I know I kind of made a mess of that. The best answer is 5 pieces. 5 1/2 is an acceptable answer. But the answer that doesn't work is 5 1/3. All right, let's go ahead and move. If you want a simple answer, just go with 5 pieces. Let's go ahead and move on. Number 12, we're going to not use a model for this one. We are going to simply do division. Let's check it out. Number 12 reads, Dow has 2 3/8 pounds of hamburger meat. He is making 1/4 pound hamburgers. Does Dow have enough meat to make 10 hamburgers? Explain. So we're going to take the total amount of hamburger that he has, 2 3/8 pounds, and we're going to divide that by the portion size, which is 1/4, and we're going to hope for an answer that's 10 or more, because the answer is going to be how many burgers he can make. Remember that we need numerators and denominators. And our second fraction is good. I've got a numerator and a denominator. Our first mixed number is not good because I got a whole number that I got to deal with. So what do? We take our mixed number and we convert it to an improper fraction. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3 is 19. This is 19/8. And then I divide that by 1/4. And then remember that now that we've got numerators and denominators, my next step is to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/4 is 4 over 1. Now I ask myself, should I do 19 times 4, or should I simplify? And the answer is you should simplify the 4 and the 8. They share a factor of 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. I end up with 19 times 1 is 19. 2 times 1 is 2. 19 halves is the same as 9, because 19 divided by 2 is 9, with 1 left over. So it's 9.5. Go back and reread the question. Does Dow have enough meat to make 10 hamburgers? The answer is no. He only has enough for 9.5 burgers. Very close. He's just barely short. But 9.5 burgers, that's good enough. But the question technically asks if he has enough for 10, and the answer is no. All right, let's check out number 13. And number 13, I'm just going to tell you right now that we're going to skip question C. We are going to try A and B though. So what I'm going to do here is make a whiteboard and put it right here. And we'll see if we can't show all our work and explain that really well. Number 13, multi-step. Zoe makes 5.5 cups of trail mix for a camping trip. She wants to divide the trail mix into 3/4 cup servings. I mean, that basically tells you need to do that. It gives you your dividend. It uses the word divide. It tells you what to divide by. Question A says, 10 people are going on the camping trip. Can Zoe make enough 3/4 cup servings so that each person on the trip has 1 serving? Well, let's go divide and find out. So this is number 13A. So I'm going to do 5.5 divided by 3/4. And just like the last problem, my first number is a mixed number that needs to get converted into an improper fraction. So I do 5 times 2, that's 10, plus 1 is 11. I end up with 11 halves. I'm going to divide that by 3/4. I'm then going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 3 over 4 is 4 over 3. I'm then going to simplify. The common factor between 2 and 4 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I end up with 11 times 2 is 22. Over 1 times 3 is 3. 22 divided by 3 is 7, with 1 left over. I get 7 1/3. Go back and reread question A. 10 people are going on the camping trip. Can Zoe make enough 3/4 cup servings so that each person on the trip has 1 serving? The answer is no. She only has enough for 7 1/3 servings. All right, question B. What size would the servings need to be for everyone to have a serving? Explain. Well, when we're talking about having a whole bunch of something and then dividing it, it's definitely division. So if you're wondering what to do on question B, it's still division. And we still have 5.5. This is the amount that she made. Zoe made that much. And it's still division. But this time we're not going to divide by the serving size. Last time we knew the serving size. For question A, we knew the serving size was 3/4. For question B, we now need to figure out the serving size. So that's what we're trying to get as our answer. So instead of dividing by the serving size, we're going to divide by the number of servings. And that we have to go back up to question A to get that. We're trying to let 10 people have a serving. So what we need to do here is take the total amount and divide by 10. 5.5 is a mixed number that needs to become an improper fraction. So I'm going to do 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. I get 11 halves. I've already done that. I did the same exact thing on question A. Now I've got 10. That needs to become a fraction. 10 is the same as 10 over 1. Now I multiply by the reciprocal. And I end up with nothing that simplifies. 1 and 2 don't share a factor other than 1. 11 and 10 don't either. So I have 1 times 11 and 2 times 10. And that doesn't simplify. They don't share a factor. So what size would the servings need to be for everyone to have a serving? 11/20 of a cup. It says explain. We should probably show our work. I'm just going to recopy this part right here. to show my work. 11 halves divided by 10 over 1 is equal to 11/20. So the explained part is simply showing your work, but the answer is 11/20 of a cup. All right, we got one more problem to do here. We are on number 14. This is the last question on page number 95. And we have an area problem, and we've done a few of those. I think I've shown you at least 3 on previous videos. And the area ones, on each of these, we give you the area, and then we divide by the known side length to find the unknown side length. So in this problem, we're given the area, and that is 30 1/3. I didn't actually read the question yet, I should. It says the area of a rectangular picture frame is 30 1/3 square inches. The length of the frame is 6.5 inches. So we're going to divide by the length. So we're going to divide this by 6.5. And then we end up with our width. And our width is unknown at this point. We're going to figure that out. So what do? They're both mixed numbers. They both need to be improper fractions. I'm going to do that right now. 3 times 3 is 90, or I'm sorry, 30 times 3 is 90, plus 1 is 91 thirds, divided by 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13 halves. Then I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, 2 over 13. And now I'm going to use a multiplication chart, and I'm going to ask myself how many times does I'm going to ask myself, does 13 and 91 share a factor? 13 is prime, and so the only factor they could share would be 13. So I just ask myself, does 13 go into 91? And my multiplication chart tells me that it does by 7 times. 91 divided by 13 is 7. So I'm going to simplify by 13. 91 divided by 13 is 7. And 13 divided by 13 is 1. So I end up with 7 times 2 is 14 over 3 times 1 is 3. And then I divide 14 divided by 3. And I get 4, because 4 times 3 is 12. So there's 2 left over. 4 2/3. The answer is 4 2/3 inches. Okay, great job. You're done with page 95.